Brazil, presidential candidates Lula da Silva and Jair Bolsonaro participated in the first televised debate before the second round of the elections, scheduled for October 30th. In Germany, WHO holds the World Health Summit to respond to major global health challenges. In Russia, the state-owned Gazprom confirmed that it is capable of redirecting the flow of gas to Europe through Türkiye. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. In Brazil, presidential candidates Lula da Silva and Jair Bolsonaro participated in the first televised debate before the second round of the elections in that South American country, scheduled for October 30th. The debate was divided into 3 blocks and allowed the candidates to present their stances and proposals. In turn, they answered questions from the journalists related to the separation of powers, privatization of Petrobras, pricing policy, and the fuel situation. Other issues addressed were education, management of the COVID-19 pandemic, and infrastructure programs. And Haiti received a shipment of armored vehicles from Canada, purchased by the government to help in the fight against criminal gangs. On Saturday, 4 of the 18 armored vehicles arrived along with other items intended for the same purpose, and a new shipment is expected to arrive in November. The delivery comes at a time when gang activity is increasing and coincides with the introduction of a resolution drafted by the United States to the United Nations Security Council promoting the deployment of a rapid reaction force in the Caribbean nation. Now we move on to other topics. In Venezuela, recovery works are progressing 1 week after the landslide in Las Tejerias. The executive announced a plan to support the affected companies in the region. The Vice President of Venezuela and the Economy of Venezuela, Tarek El Aizami, together with the National Economic Cabinet, toured the streets of Las Tejerias to evaluate the action strategies and define the lines of integral attention in terms of food and public services. The catastrophe left at least 753 families affected and a total of 50 people dead. The authorities are working with 23 companies to restore the productive capacities of the municipality. And the ambassador of Portugal in Venezuela, João Fins do Lago, visited Las Tejerias to verify the situation of this Portuguese community that lives in the region. In addition to touring the affected areas, the diplomat met with Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez and other officials to assess the damage. In this context, the ambassador expressed his solidarity with the victims. More than 200 Portuguese citizens live in Las Tejerias. In Guatemala, authorities and citizens continue the joint recovery tasks after the passage of Tropical Storm Julia. According to civil protection authorities, Tropical Storm Julia forced the evacuation of at least 4,846 people and left severe damage to over 380 homes. Citizens continue deployed in the streets, carrying out cleaning and debris removal works in roads collapsed by the fallen trees and destroyed infrastructures. Likewise, the Army carried out throughout the week several operations by land, sea, and air to deliver humanitarian aid to the most remote regions, among which are several localities of Huehuetenango Department. In Cuba, the western province of Pinar del Rio recovered over 53% of the electric service after the passing of Hurricane Ian. The secretary of the Communist Party in Pinar del Rio, Yamile Ramos, thanked the support and solidarity of the brigades involved in the recovery work since the impact of the weather phenomenon late last month. To date, the municipalities with a more complex situation regarding the restoration of electricity are San Juan y Martínez and San Luis. The official reiterated that one of the main concerns of the province is the water supply and informed that work is continuing on the pipelines, reinforcing the distribution of drinking water with water trucks. We'll take a short break, but first, remember you can follow us on TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The World Health Organization is opened its World Summit in Germany on Sunday, aimed at providing answers to major global health challenges. The Director General of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, opened the plenary session, joined by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and the French President Emmanuel Macron. According to the entity, the priority issues on the agenda are climate change and health, as well as prevention of the pandemic's effects, its variants, and vaccination campaigns, in addition to food security and the havoc in supply chains resulting from the conflict in Ukraine. The World Health Summit will last for 3 days and is the largest international health event of 2022.
Taking global health to a new level means we need a new global agreement or global accord based on a shared vision. At exactly the moment when the world needed to come together to face this common threat as one, the COVID-19 pandemic has been characterized by a lack of cooperation and coordination. When we can only face shared threats with a shared response.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a pre-recorded speech, called for the summit to move from alarm to action.
The financial system is failing the developing world. This must change. All people need inclusive, impartial and equitable access to health services to deliver universal health coverage. And in these times of great trouble and stress, we must ensure that mental health is not a neglected aspect of health care.
In France, demonstrations condemning inflation were dispersed by the police with tear gas. Over 140,000 people participated in the demonstration, which demanded an increase in salaries, a price cap for electricity and food, and more investment in renewable energy sources. Demonstrators also demanded that the retirement age be kept at 60. The police deployed close to 2,000 agents in Paris after the first clashes between activists and police. The protesters, called by leftist parties and trade union movements, increased the pressure on Emmanuel Macron's government. In Türkiye, authorities investigate the causes of a mine accident that killed 41 people and injured several others. Turkish prosecutors began an investigation on the causes of the explosion in a coal mine in the northern province of Bartın. The Minister of Justice declared that the incident will be investigated and clarified in all the aspects, after pointing out that operations were interrupted at the mining site until further notice. The head of Energy and Natural Resources said that the explosion could have been caused by the explosion of a mixture of flammable gases. In Russia, state-owned Gazprom confirmed that it is capable of rerouting gas transportation to Europe through Türkiye. The president of the Russian energy company, Alexei Miller, said that there is a possibility of creating a gas distribution center in Türkiye and transferring transit from the Nord Stream Baltic Sea gas pipelines, which after several gas leaks had become disabled, to the Turk Stream Black Sea pipeline for supplying gas to Europe. The head of the gas giant recalled that Gazprom has experience, and it is prepared the implementation of the South Stream project, which eventually became the Turk Stream pipeline. Miller also reiterated that the Turk Stream was originally designed for a capacity of 63 billion cubic meters, so it could support the same volumes as the Nord Stream. Now we move on to other topics. Russian Defense Ministry spokesperson Major General Igor Kinashenkov said on Sunday that the Russian forces bombed with high-pressure missiles military objectives and electrical installations in Ukraine.
During the past 24 hours, the Russian armed forces continue to strike with high-precision, long-range air-launched weapons at military command and control facilities as well as the energy system of Ukraine. The goals of the strikes were achieved. All assigned targets were hit.
And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Coinciding with the celebration of the World Food Day, international organizations and the United Nations call for urgent famine relief for East Africa. The peoples of Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia face the worst drought in 40 years. According to Oxfam, food shortages could cause one death every 36 seconds until the end of the year, while FAO says help is urgently needed. 4 seasons of poor rainfall in a row have caused livestock to die and crops to fail, with rural populations in hard-to-reach areas of Somalia the hardest hit. According to Etienne Peterswich, representative of FAO for that country, the current drought has affected about 7.8 million people, almost half of the Somalian population. Angolan President João Lourenço delivered his first speech before the National Assembly since his re-election and affirms to devote all his efforts to search for the best conditions for the people. The Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola won a wafer-thin majority of 51.17% of the vote, handing President João Lourenço a second term in power. However, it has met opposition. To some, the country needs to address pressing matters like education reforms and other infrastructure issues. Despite being one of Africa's largest oil producers, Angola is also grappling with higher public debts. It is doing so successfully, however, since in 2022, higher oil prices have helped the country reduce public debt to 56.5% of the GDP, down from 79.7% in 2021.
I will devote all my strength and attention to finding the best conditions for the people. The main problems of the country, as we all know, in the last 5 years, our country has experienced enormous turbulence, including 2 crises that have created difficulties in the lives of all families, businesses and state institutions.
In Iran, authorities restored order in a Tehran prison after a fire that killed 4 people. Preliminary report indicates that the fire was caused by a confrontation between several prisoners in a sewing workshop. Firefighters managed to extinguish the fire and calm has returned to the prison thanks to the efforts of law enforcement agencies. The fire in the Evin prison left 4 prisoners dead due to the smoke inhalation and 61 others injured, while police, firefighters and emergency services saved over 70 prisoners who were at risk of being affected by the incident. In Syria, the number of infected and dead from cholera outbreaks continues to rise. This Sunday, authorities registered 2 new fatalities and nearly 70 confirmed cases. According to the Syrian Health Ministry, cumulative infections rose to 825, of which 519 in Aleppo, 145 in Deir ez-Zor, 63 in Hazakeh, 29 in Raqqa, 23 in Latakia, and 10 in Damascus City. The Health Ministry also highlighted that the number of deaths rose to 43, and the main cause of death continues to be the delay in seeking medical attention at health centers. According to the authorities, so far the city of Aleppo remains the province with the highest number of fatalities. And the 20th Congress of the Communist Party of China officially opened on Sunday in Beijing. The Congress is vital to promote the construction of socialism with Chinese characteristics and the new socio-economic goals of the country.
On Sunday, the most important political event in the world's most populated country began in Beijing. The 20th century of the Communist Party of China will review the last 10 years of transformations and advances under the leadership of the first Secretary of the Party and President of China, Xi Jinping, whose ideas and thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics escalated to the country's constitution and the party's statutes. During the opening speech of the event, the Chinese leader emphasized the modernization of the country, the welfare of its people, national defense, reunification, and ideological strengthening.
The aim of this Congress is to hold the great standard of socialism with Chinese peculiarities, fully implement the thought of socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, carrying forward the great founding spirit of a party, maintaining confidence and strengthening itself, upholding the principal foundations and breaking new ground, forging ahead with initiative and fortitude, and striving in unity to build a modern socialist country in all aspects and promote the great rejuvenation of a Chinese nation in all fronts.
This is the first Congress of the Chinese Communist Party after achieving the elimination of extreme poverty, one of China's centennial goals, and the meeting should lay the foundations for the achievement of the second centennial goal of building a modern socialist country by mid-century. Also, the event comes after 3 years of pandemic and in the middle of profound changes at the international level that coincide with the shift of China towards its domestic market and a strengthening of the ideological line of the Communist Party underlined around its leadership.
Facing drastic changes in the international landscape, we maintained a firm strategic resolve and showed a fighting spirit. Thanks to these efforts, we safeguarded the dignity and fundamental interest of China and remained well positioned to pursue development and ensure security, and led them in solving a large number of problems that had remained unsolved for a long time, ensuring many achievements.
Some 2,300 delegates are participating in this Congress, representing the 96 million members of the Chinese Communist Party, and will have among their missions to discuss and approve the several documents that will be presented at this Congress, including amendments to the party's constitution, to update its vision and promote the constitution of socialism with Chinese characteristics. For a week, delegates will also debate its strategic plans and policy lines that will define China's course for the next 5 years, and choose the party's top leaders, while observers and analysts keep their eyes on Xi Jinping, who could become the longest-serving leader since Mao Zedong.
Iranzi Peraza, TeleSUR, Beijing, China.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.